you can take yourself away from still very fun things, the streaming, the gaming, the singing, the trumpeting, but have some other outlet that allows you to selfishly express yourself to yourself. And, maybe you share that with the world, maybe you don't. That's up to you.
Welcome to Uploaded, where I, Angela, chat with VTubers about what they've uploaded, or this time, what they've not uploaded. Ceylon Cross is a streamer who focuses mostly on Magic the Gathering, but also other fun games. In his free time, he plays the trumpet in VTSO and voice acts. He has a very smooth voice. Today, we're going to discuss the importance of hobbies and what life as a cat slime VTuber means. Let's go say hi. So, I think we should address the elephant in the room, which is what made you decide to become a cat slime VTuber?
When I set my mind on wanting to become a VTuber as sort of my creative outlet, obviously the first place I went to was just like, all right, what are other people doing? Just like, oh, we got all the pretty boys, we got the manly men, we got the Bishonens and all that stuff, Ikemen. And I'm just like, all right, well, what can I design for myself? And I honestly went through a few creative sort of like design decision trees before landing on cat slime. I was like, okay, well, maybe I can go in route A, I can go in route B. And I think the furthest I went with any of the routes was sort of like young man android looking sort of, but biggest sort of concern from there was, okay, this is like a nice sketch, right? This is a nice sort of outline for what I might want to do. But then I looked at like, how do I accomplish that? And I'm not going to lie, money was a big factor.
Okay.
Right. So the biggest sticker shock for any VTuber when they're like, oh, I want to jump into this is the model and the rigging. Okay, well, I don't stream. Before doing the VTuber jump in, I wasn't a streamer. I didn't do content. And I wanted to make sure that I was comfortable doing content before putting in a whole bunch of money. I think that's a smart decision for anybody getting into that. Make sure you're actually doing it, that you can commit to whatever you're comfortable with. For me, it ended up being streaming once a week. And before you put any, cold hard cash down. So for me, I'm like, okay, well, what could I do? And creatively, I ended up finding this little guy right here, this cat slime model from the wonderful Melon Minty. And they have that up on their Etsy or Ko-Fi page. And I was able to get it for pretty cheap. And there were a few more traditional ones, right? You have your young man VTuber model. And I tried that and it just didn't vibe. In my head during the creative process, I was like, all right, I vibe with this. I can do X, Y, Z. And then I tried it, just kind of messing about with it. And it didn't fit. It just felt not me. And I think aside from the logistic angle, which is the money, the technology and that stuff, creatively and personally, I just want to be a little guy on the internet. I just want to be an adorable little scamp on the interwebs, playing games and having fun with people. And my personality can range from super serious, kind of cool, laid back sounding, pretty chill. With my deep voice, it can sound pretty Ikemen and, like, oh, hello there. But like, I have a very wide range. Like I grew up on cartoons. So like I can be all over the place and be super energetic and super wide range. And I'm like, honestly, a slime works for that. A slime is malleable. A slime has no preconceived notions of what to expect.
I love that. So you kind of like, in a sense, made your own Ditto
Exactly.
in like Pokemon terminology.
Yeah.
Where you can like change, but there's still like a part of you that's like, oh, okay, this is Ceylon right here for sure.
Right. At the very least, it'll still be the same sort of form factor.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm doing, let's say I'm doing a super serious game or something like that, or we're doing like a collab, or it's just like Among Us, and it's just like, all right, guys, nobody tell them, but I'm the sus one. And like, I can be like, yes. And you can have that range for, not being one note, not being pigeonholed into, I see pretty boy acts this way, or I see mature male VTuber acts this way. And when they, as an inevitable human being, acts, differently, like it doesn't break that immersion so much.
Right.
So that, like I said, expectations, preconceived notions, it doesn't quite apply.
And then speaking of expectations, obviously you mentioned like some pros of having this is the adaptability and also the price for creating this model. Were there any unexpected things that you found out by being a slime ball that you didn't realize would also occur?
The biggest ones I would say are, number one, trying to attain and retain an audience is sometimes more difficult. If you have something that is unusual, people might pop by for a few minutes. But if they can't get over that sort of, not exactly clickbait, but like that sort of initial what's going on here feeling, and they're just like, oh, okay, moves on, that can lead to slow growth. And I would say that over the past 2.5 years of me streaming, that is the case.
I see. So you're seeing firsthand of like how important visuals are when creating content for YouTube or Twitch or anywhere really.
Absolutely. I would say with a fact that from a marketing standpoint, marketability, there is something to be said for my uniqueness. And, that is a strength. But also that it does come with the high risk of, if you can't make that big reach or have the energy to do the push and self-marketing of being on top of social media, putting yourself out there in shorts and what have you, which, to be fair, I do not currently, then you're going to have to work harder than someone that has a recognizable human silhouette.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of VTubers started VTubing because they wanted to kind of get away from people's pre-existing thoughts about how they look or how they are perceived. But unfortunately, I think with any visuals, we'll always have that no matter what we do or create.
Absolutely. I think that is, I've got a face for radio, and why do I want to show it? Like, maybe not, but like, you'll never know. It's sort of like, I don't want to put myself out there as a real person, either from a privacy standpoint or from I don't think I'm, handsome enough or cute enough, IRL to do that. And it's just like, you know what, the virtual avatar, medium, whatever you would like to call it, is certainly got its benefits for that. And I'm not hiding because I'm ashamed of anything. I'm doing this because it's another sort of gamer tag, You can find someone in a lobby and be like, okay, oh, hey, it's that dude. I remember you. You're the guy with the, the Haruhi avatar or whatever. And you disassociate with whatever real world thing might be behind it, or, as a content enjoyer, you disassociate with the real world positive and, more importantly, the negative around you while you're consuming this anime person in front of you, right? So I want to continue that sort of suspension of disbelief, that sort of appearance, theatrics, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, a big part of that, like you said, is just, what are your expectations? And what do you as a person want to create? and what do you want to allow the people watching you to see?
VTubing is a hobby for a lot of us, but like VTubing is such a umbrella term for hobby because a lot of VTubers have their own then hobbies that they then share online as content as a way to stand out. I know for you, for example, you also do some voice acting and play trumpet. And while those hobbies don't necessarily need to be a thing to make money off of but it is something that I feel like you do kind of have to show in a sense, because, music has to be listened to and voice acting is usually part of some project or some kind of media. But right now, this is pretty interesting because you are working on a project that is just for yourself, which is a model railroad system. So in a world where it seems like hobbies are kind of viewed now as side hustles, why did you start this particular project?
It has always been a dream of mine since I was a young slime to have a model railroad, to have a train set going around. I can blame my uncle for that one. They had a train set in their attic, and every holiday when we came and visited, we'd scurry on up there for about 15, 20 minutes, watch the trains go round and round, and then come back down and have dinner or, whatever, with the rest of the family. And for me, I've gotten so far in my life that I'm just like, you know what? I want to do something for me. And while VTubing and streaming is definitely a good outlet for me to socialize and to share passions of mine with the world, the model railroad is definitely something that is for me and like selfishly for me. It's something that I can obsess over and work on and create with, and just, it's wholly mine. I don't have to worry about optics or what others may really think about it. The saying in the model railroading community at large is rule one. It's my railroad. I run it how I want. And that's what I'll do. So that I feel it's super important for me to have that as a lifelong dream, but also for others. If you have that one thing you want to do, if it's mountain biking, like you don't have to do mountain biking content. You can just be like, all right, this weekend, I'm going to a local park or a local national site, and I'm going to be biking over there for like 5 hours. Or let's say, oh, well, I actually really like fishing. Well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to fish. And if I don't catch a darn thing, I will have so much fun doing it. And maybe I don't need to share that with the world. But if I do catch that prize catch, I can take a photograph of it and be like, hashtag life goals or whatever. So I feel like that's super, super important to have in the background, where you can take yourself away from still very fun things, the streaming, the gaming, the singing, the trumpeting, but have some other outlet that allows you to selfishly express yourself to yourself. And, maybe you share that with the world, maybe you don't. That's up to you.
And would you ever share this hobby to the world?
I think I would. I haven't quite decided how I would do that yet, or in what way I would. I think it is something that is so uniquely granular that it's hard to share the process of it without dedicating a whole channel to it, which, trust me, there are YouTubers out there basically from day one to 5 years later, how they've constructed, designed, and built their model railroad. But that I don't think is for me. I think what I might do at some point is maybe take pictures of what I have, what I've made, and share those as I'm happy with my accomplishments. And this is something I want to share.
I think it is really interesting because I feel like a lot of creative outlets also has the boring side to it, where it's like because my next question for you is going to be like, if you could explain your vision, like what kind of railroad system are you thinking about making? But it is one of those things where it's like, in order to do all the fun stuff, you have to get all the logistics and the boring stuff out of the way. But yeah, I want to know, do you have a specific theme for this? Because for me, I think I told you this, when I think of railroad systems, I think of Christmas, which is like the iconic versions. But I assume, are you doing a Christmas one? Are you doing something different? I would love to hear. Are you doing like an anime isekai one? I would love to know.
Oh my God, that would be a truly inspired one. But no, I'm not doing Christmas one, although, setting up trains at Christmas is a future goal of mine at some point. My railroad is going to be essentially what we call a shelf layout, where you have it attached to the wall, and it, for me, would go around the circumference of a room. So imagine a bookshelf, maybe 18 inches deep, and that would be, let's say, your staging yard. You got a bunch of parallel track with all of your rolling stock and locomotives set up on there, so you don't have to worry about taking them out of a box every time you want to run them. And you've got your trains all lined up. You have further down the wall, it all comes out to a single track or a double track, curves around to the next wall. You have a nice shelf that brings it along and into a scenic section, as we call it. So that's where you would essentially break through the stage to the viewing area. This is where you will have your scenery. This is where you will have little figures of people or animals in farmyards and industries and rivers and trees and all sorts of stuff. You can have stations and sidings, coal depots, cattle yards, or whatever, an ironworks, foundry. And through that whole scenic section takes up the other long wall of the room, and then it'll curve off scene. It'll go through a tunnel or cross, a mountain or something like that. And then it comes back to your plain plywood board with tracks on it coming back into your storage yard. So you have this huge oval through like an entire room. And for me, I've already got most of my plans done for that. I've got a room that is about 19 to 20 feet long and with about 12 foot wide. And I've already designed we call it a fiddle yard or a storage yard, which has a whole bunch of switch tracks, a whole bunch of sidings for trains to sit on. And then I have it designed so that it'll just cross over one of the short ends of the room. And then I have my big scenic section. So I have like 19 feet, 18 feet worth of scenic section that I can do pretty much anything I want. I can make it into a rolling hillside with fields and, tiny little farm cottages dotted along the line. Or I can turn it into this urban sprawl with a big passenger station and a bunch of industry yards where they're loading and unloading from trucks onto freight cars and all these things. Or I could make it a seaside, a harbor side, where you're going over an embankment where the tracks are raised above a rocky shore, and you've got like ships and barges moored up waiting to be loaded or anything like that. There's the sky is the limit for this sort of creativity. You're making your own diorama, essentially. And the thing that brings it to life are the trains. That's the appeal, is finding what area of the world, in my world, do I want to bring to life with this huge train set? Because obviously, the more trains, the better. But at the end of the day, it's just like, all right, the biggest decision is you're going to build. You get only so much area to build in. What are the choices? And that's sort of the nexus point that I'm in right now.
That sounds amazing. And also sounds, I know this is going to be a long project, which could be a good or bad thing depending on how you view it. But it sounds like, super peaceful once you get to the more designing part about like what kind of trees you're going to get, what kind of little houses and all the design materials for it. How long do you think this will take you?
Oh, a lifetime. A lifetime. Not even joking. Like one of the adages for a model railroader is that a model railroad is truly never finished. Mm-hmm. You can have people that have had model railroads they've been making for 30 or 40 years, and they could be, retirees in their late 80s and still be like, oh, but I'm not even close to being done with them. And I mean, that's the truth. That's the honest to God's truth. Ultimately, I would love to have the big storage yard with a big scenic area, even if the scenic area is just basic grass, trees, and 2 parallel tracks running through it. I'll be happy as a clam. You're never going to have the perfect model railroad because the perfect model railroad doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. Yeah.
It doesn't exist. And trust me, we go or we watch others with their layouts and we go, oh my God, that is so impressive. That's so cool. I would love to spend an afternoon running trains on even like a small sort of like under the bed layout. Bigger isn't always better. Or maybe you just have a little oval with a train running through, a little town scene that you whipped up out of cereal boxes and tin cans. And you did that for like all of $50. Mm-hmm. And if you're having fun with it, it's just as valid and it's just as fulfilling. So like there's really no end to anything. And your goal is what you're happy with.
I want to also talk about another hobby that you really enjoy. I know you do this, I think, weekly, right? You do Magic the Gathering?
Yes.
So obviously this game is super popular. It's survived many decades. But what is it about the game that attracts you specifically?
Ooh. So for those who don't know, Magic the Gathering is one of the OG trading card games. And it's been around since 1993. So it is the main game that I stream every week, or at least try to stream every week. And I got hooked on it many years ago. The sort of initial hook came from what I'll call the flavor of the card game. It's a combination of the spectacular artwork they have on their cards. Eventually, like you'll learn mechanics and stuff like that. And the mechanical flavor of each piece, each card, can work with the name of the card and the art of the card and the little flavor text that's on the bottom of the card that tells part of the story of what's happening there. And it all sort of resonates with you. And for me, that's what drew me in. And I would say that over the last gosh knows how many years of me playing, like the actual mechanical uniqueness and the expressiveness, the self-expressiveness you can do with this card game is really what kept drawing me back in.
Can you explain a little bit more about what you mean by self-expression?
Absolutely. So with a card game, certain card games, let's say like with deck building games, you will have maybe a certain set amount of cards and your goal is to do X, Y, or Z. With a trading card game like Magic the Gathering, like Pokemon TCG, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, you have formats. Biggest popular ones we have are Standard, which are the newest sets that they've released out for the last couple of years. Formats that go much deeper into the history of the game, like Legacy or Modern, which have many, 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 many more sets that have been out of print for years. Or you have sort of casual formats like Commander, which a lot of people are getting into Magic with nowadays. And those are multiplayer formats rather than just a one-on-one, head-on-head sort of format. And the really cool thing with a game like Magic is that there's so much ground that they've covered mechanically. And that is with ways that the cards interact with one another, the ways that cards interact with you or your opponent, that you can express how you want to play that game and get to the end point of the game, the winning point of the game, that you can really tailor it to what you like. So, for example, in the game, the traditional way is you start with a life total of 20 points. And if you get to 0 points, you lose. Same goes for your opponent. If your opponent starts at 20 points and they go to 0 points, they lose and you win. Well, one of the other ways you can win is by decking out your opponent. If they go to draw a card from their deck and there is no card left in their deck, they lose. So we in Magic the Gathering call that milling someone out from the card Millstone, which would get rid of cards from a player's deck. And when you mill that player out to have no cards that they can draw, you win. Now, taking your opponent's life points from 0 or from 20 to 0. How do you want to do that? Do you want to go, all the way into 5th gear, turbo, fast, down the street? Or do you want to have them do your taxes in front of you and say, oh, I'm sorry, you actually have to fill this out in triplicate before you can cast that spell? Denied. So there are ways to essentially role play in this game, for lack of a better metaphor, and you can choose what to do. There's over 20,000 individual unique cards in the game now, and there's more coming out every month. Sky's the limit. And for me, that's huge, because that means that my deck, if I'm playing a personal deck, let's say, like I'm not trying to be a try hard and trying to win a tournament or something, like where it's like, here's a clear goal, here's what I want to do, so I'm going to try and do the competitive thing, right? You can do pretty much anything you want. And I know that this is going to be a Ceylon deck. This deck is going to be me and what I like to play and what I like to do. And the person next to me, well, that deck is going to be their deck and what they want to do and how they want to play. And that's the kind of self-expression that you can get out of a card game like that. The same goes for Pokemon. Same goes for Yu-Gi-Oh! I think, maybe. I don't know. But like, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can go through and play the game from turn 1 to winning or turn 1 to losing. And that's up to you to find.
So then when you stream Magic the Gathering, is it in a sense a way for you to tell your own story as well? That then, as opposed to just like, because you stream every week. So I'm curious to know, is there one week where you are Ceylon more the cat slime, or Ceylon more the train conductor, or like, do you have a story for every week?
In a sense, yes. Not so literally, but yes, essentially from week to week, there will be a different flavor of gameplay that I will do. So, for example, during the month of February, I think it was, I played this deck called Tron. And Tron derives its name from the anime Voltron, where you assemble the different pieces of the giant robot together to get this all-powerful thing. And Tron in Magic the Gathering is assembling the Urza Tron, which is 3 lands, which are resources that allow you to play the game. And if you get all 3 of these lands out, it jumps you up with so many more resources. So instead of having 1, 2, 3 resources, you have 1, 2, 7 resources. And it really throws you in high gear. And I was playing that archetype for an entire month. But every week, I would play a different flavor of that archetype. I would play, we call it big mana, because you end up making a lot of mana, the resource in Magic the Gathering. And the first week I was running Monster Tron. What does that mean? Well, it means I'm playing really big dudes that beat your face in. Okay. And then the next week I was playing Mono Black Tron. Black is one of the main color types in the game. And the flavor of that deck is not playing big creatures that beat your face in. Instead, you're sitting there getting card advantage, building up resources and cards in your hand to interact and control what your opponent is doing and slowly drain their life totals down to 0 while protecting yourself and sort of grinding them out through, attrition and resource advantage. And then another time it's like, oh, well, we can play combo. You can combo out with 3 different cards and go infinite. And that's also a Tron archetype. And you have to figure out, how do I get to assemble these different pieces of the combo, the combination, without getting disrupted, without having them removed or destroyed by the opponent. That's the kind of role playing that you can get with this game, where it's just like, today I want to sit back and be the evil villain in my chair, twirling my mustache, going, oh, you thought you could play the game, opponent. Well, we'll see about that. And then other games, I'm just like, rock goes smash. I go smash rock into your face. And that's the fun of it.
Okay, I can hear a little bit of voice acting coming through, so I want to jump over to the next segment. You are going to be in You're My Oshi. For our listeners who aren't aware, can you give a little blurb about what You're My Oshi is and about what your role will be?
So You're My Oshi is going to be, I think it's like about a 12 episode length anime inspired slice of life audio drama. So it's about a VTuber fan who's a typical office worker named Anna. And she meets Rio, a new coworker that started in her office. And they've been partnered up for her to train him. But it's kind of eerily suspicious how this guy, Rio, sounds like her VTuber Oshi, Rylan Renegade. And it's just like, okay, this is what am I going to do? Is he actually it? And then she kind of, through detective work, figures out, oh no, I've found my VTuber Oshi that I catch all their streams. I buy all their merch and I support them and, fangirl over them. But now I'm their senpai at work. I have to, they don't know that I know. Like, what do I do? And that's the gist of it. I will say, at least from what I've seen, and I will say this now, I don't have any predisposed knowledge of plot or where this is going. And even if I do, I would not spoil that, because that's I gotta watch the show, man. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be sort of like that sort of like romance light novel sort of feel. It's more like they say here, it's a slice of life. And it's sort of like, if you found yourself being able to impact your Oshi in their day-to-day life, what would you choose to do? Would you choose to try to make their life easier and better, maybe at the expense of your own stress, maybe by taking that on so they don't have to worry about it? Would you try not to do anything at all? Would you try to just let them do the work and completely distance yourself from knowing that if they have a hard day at work, that's going to affect, their alter ego that you watch on stream later that weekend? Who knows? And that's where this story is really looking at with a microscope and going, what is Anna going to do for Rio? She loves Rylan Renegade as as a creator, as her Oshi. But Rio is Rio. Rio is not Rylan IRL. Rio is Rio. So it's a really fun sort of look at that dynamic without getting too terribly parasocial. And as far as my role in this is going to be, you're just going to have to wait and see. Oh. That's going to be a little bit of a secret for now, but I will say that I am one of the small side characters later on. Nothing too crazy, but it's going to be fun seeing me pop up when you least expect it.
Nice. I love the little teaser you just gave. Okay. But yeah, so since you have a background in voice acting, I figure we can do a little voice acting challenge as well, I will say. So I found the script from the subreddit ASMR Script Haven. The writer goes by Splashiest Pig, which is a fantastic name. ASMR Script Haven is a great place to find scripts, whether you are a writer or an actor. I'll link the subreddit below for anyone interested. This script is written with only one character in mind, so I may add a few lines in myself, but let's get started.
And so, hero, you will find my genius plan is quite inescapable. I have considered every possibility and... Psst. Hey, hired help. Get out of here. I'm in the middle of my monologue here.
We're supposed to have a meeting?
I don't have time for a fiscal meeting right now. I'm foiling this hero's foiling of my plan, which coincidentally involves a lot of tinfoil. It's an incredibly complex process. I wouldn't expect you to understand.
Of course. Don't
scoff at me. Just because I hired you to keep the books doesn't mean you get to be so flagrant.
Mm-hmm.
You shot my hero.
Oh, please. He's not even real. Get over it.
Yes, it was just a simulation bot, but that doesn't make it okay. This was a very important pre-simulation of an upcoming battle I'll be having. I can't have any variables like rogue accountants with Glocks messing things up.
Are you being for real?
It is very important that I simulate the battles beforehand. Otherwise, how am I meant to simultaneously lose, win, escape, and let the hero escape? It'd be impossible just to wing it.
You won't be able to do anything unless you have money for it.
Yes, I suppose I have time for your meeting now, considering you just threw off my plans for the next 2 hours.
I'm telling you, this is important.
All right, I shouldn't be mad. I'm sure you wouldn't have so rudely interrupted if it wasn't important. Let's head to your office. Wow, this chair is horribly uncomfortable. Did you loot it from Torture and Development or something?
No one was using it.
Wait, you actually did? Why would you intentionally perturb everyone who sits in your guests' chairs?
I'm an accountant.
Japanese and their weird power tactics.
Are you paying attention?
Nothing. So what was this meeting about? Better stock options, general repairs. It's R&D, isn't it? They always want me to push the envelope with their funding.
We're here to talk about your spending habits.
Spending habits? I don't know what you're talking about.
Please. So you didn't spend all this?
Nope, that sounds like credit card fraud to me. I'm pretty sure that I didn't buy anything you may or may not be insinuating. In fact, I don't even know what you're about to say. That's how little involvement I have in these purchases.
So you didn't buy anything?
Yep, I don't know anything about anything. In fact, why don't you list off all the things that I didn't buy, and I'll confirm that I didn't buy them. You can return them, and we'll be just fine.
Fine.
Mm-hmm.
This machine gun?
Yep, not me.
A disco ball with literal lasers?
Ooh, that sounds fun, but no, I didn't buy it.
A Prada voice changer?
I don't even know what that is.
A real-life statue of the hero?
Sell.
A dolphin?
Sell. No, not Phyllis. I mean, The dolphin is a fraudulent purchase. I have no attachment to it.
Right.
Is that everything you know about?
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. All I said is that everything? I didn't accidentally imply that there were more things. That would be dumb because there aren't more things. And I don't skim 10% from every bank job onto a secret account. So is this just about the identity theft that you should have stopped? Because frankly, this kind of shines a bad light on you as an accountant. What do I pay you for if not protecting my credit card information?
You don't pay me.
I don't pay you for that? Well, let's talk about this chair. It's very uncomfortable. You should be ashamed of yourself for making me sit in it. In fact, I can't sit in this chair for 1 second longer, so I'll be taking my leave. Good day to you, accountant.
And scene. That was amazing. I can tell this is not your first rodeo. However, unfortunately, we are at time here. So I want to thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Uploaded, and thank you to Ceylon for joining us today on this episode. If you liked our conversation, don't forget to like and subscribe. And have we convinced you to be a cat slime VTuber? Let me know.